Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vintage 101. My name is Joe Dyer with MTG Goldfish. I am joined here today with a venerable U.S. North American vintage champion. Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Jeremy. Uh, been playing Magic since I was 11 years old, on and off, taking several breaks, just like a lot of folks in the community, and was lucky enough to travel and do well at the Eternal Weekend Vintage Championships. It was wonderful. It was quite a dream come true.
Yeah, it really is. So Eternal Weekend, for our folks at home that don't know, Eternal Weekend's kind of the legacy and vintage community's kind of Super Bowl in a lot of ways. It is a weekend where you're not only just you're playing for big money and big glory and stuff, but you're also there because it's like the one time a year you get to hang out with your friends, in the Eternal Magic community. So it's awesome to see that this tradition of the Eternal formats has continued to flourish and do well and keep going, and that we have places like Card Titan that continue to support that. So let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit about. So you won this event playing arguably one of the more popular decks in Vintage right now, which is Mono White Initiative. Why don't you walk us through a little bit about what led you to deciding to play this deck for this event?
Sure. I think it's semi-universally agreed that in older formats, people will play what they have the ability to or what they have really well
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of. And I think that heuristic is compounded in vintage. Um, so that is the deck I knew. That is the deck I had the ability to put together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm I'm imagining I could have worked towards figuring out blue power, but in white you just sort through the moxes in a Black Lotus, which is quite a task already.
Right.
Um, in vintage, I cut my teeth. Oh goodness, maybe about 7 years ago, playing dredge.
Mm-hmm.
And in local community events, that that I kind of got hustled into by being a legacy enjoyer. So
Right.
it was a bit of a natural progression, and they were proxy friendly, and so you just show up and enjoy yourself. And I really enjoyed playing vintage, and here in the recent years have been working towards a goal of having a completed deck of my own. And so I've been playing mono white for a little over 2 years.
Nice.
So it's like something I'm very familiar with. It's something that I have my own beliefs in as far as the list and kind of understand the metagame enough to swap cards in and update my
Right.
sideboard. So yeah, and so it's just like you said. I came to it as that was what I had the choice to play, and that's what I felt comfortable playing.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I looking at your list here, I can see that that idea of you were talking about how you like to swap things in and out. I know that I have seen a lot of lists lately that have been on a lot more copies of cards like Void Mirror. And I definitely am intrigued in some of the numbers here, but when
Yeah,
I'm a person who, when I look at a deck list, if I see numbers that may not make sense to people, I
yeah,
almost always assume that the pilot has done the math.
right.
like,
Right,
uh,
my list does have a little bit of spicy numbers to it, yeah.
well, okay, so tell us what the spicy numbers are here.
Well, so there's only so much innovation in that deck. It's fairly stock, and the mana base, the stability of the mana base
Mm-hmm.
matters a lot. So you can't just start throwing in double white pips and explore in too many fashions. But yeah, the seasoned dungeoneer being on three, I think, is something that would catch an eyeball to a lot of people familiar with the
Right.
with the game. Um, At the end of the day, that card is fantastic. It wasn't underperforming for me. It was I only want to play 60 cards, and
Right.
then so somewhere was a cut. That was a card that I would sideboard out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good in some matchups. It's not as good in others, and I just it's 4 mana, and sometimes you're wastelanding each other, or sometimes you're wanting to proactively wasteland, and so the 4 mana sometimes trips you up.
Right. So
Yeah.
looking through your event here, you had an interesting slog of rounds playing through the
Hmm.
event. I see a lot of Luris. I see a lot of other the mirror match, which
Yeah.
gotta love it. Raker shops, and you were at the end of the Swiss. Looks like you had only lost one match, and that was to Dave Kaplan, who you kind of got that revenge against in that finals match there.
Yeah. That's it just makes for a better story.
Right?
For me, um, no, yeah, Dave gave me a butt whooping in the Swiss in day one. We took it to game three. I mulliganed to five. I was kinda in the game, but I needed to draw a threat somewhere in the turns three, four, five, and
Mm-hmm.
it didn't happen, and he just, seized the opportunity and closed it out.
Right. So, in terms of just raw, winning the event with this game, with this deck, what do you think about mono white right now in the format? It very much is one of those like very popular decks in Vintage right now. Like I
Yeah,
see almost every challenge I look at, almost every time from Justin Gennari's data is mono white's the most popular deck in this event. Mono white's the most popular deck in this event, and oftentimes I see either it's done well and it's put a couple top copies in the top eight, but not a lot of wins, and other times it seems like the win rate is lower than 50% and it doesn't put
sure.
any copies in the top eight. So it waxes and wanes a lot in Magic Online world. But what do you think about this deck right now in Vintage as to where it's at? I know that this deck has gotten a lot of upgrades in this past year thanks to things like Clarion Conqueror and
Yeah.
etc. Like I know that was a big level up for that deck.
So, you might want to cut me off. I have so many opinions on this one.
No, it's okay. Go for it.
Cla-
Yeah,
Clarion
absolutely.
Conquer is an absolute workhorse, load-bearing card. So much so that it symmetrically damages your own deck in a lot of ways.
Right.
Um, and the creature type dragon sometimes gets in the way when you have a cavern on something else, or you've prioritized putting the cavern on dragon, and now the other cards are tougher
Mm-hmm.
because your cavern isn't working. You've shut off your moxes, but um, the other thing is the void mirrors. I think the community kind of noticed that that was a nice slot and
Right.
relatively new, although it has been semi-stock for a while. However, I think the deck has plenty of issues. I think that it has a super duper high ceiling and can just
Right.
have an explosive start that is almost unmanageable to come back with Archon and Myria and some of the hate bear type stuff. But you have to be very disciplined in your mulligans. You have to understand the matchups. The edges all really matter because you're never going to top deck Ancestral Recall,
Right.
or
Yeah.
you're never going to buy Luris and then like kind of grind back into the game. So
Right.
yeah, I think if you're into aggro decks and you're into learning decks and um, trying to staying on top of what the lists are so that you know how to navigate, that's a great choice. But yeah, the other thing I'll say is that meta game wise, I don't know that it's super well positioned. I think leading into the event, a lot of chatter around Oath of Druids kind of
Mm-hmm.
being an answer to some of the cat decks, and Oath of Druids definitely preys on initiative.
Yeah.
I tried to make up for that in my sideboard a little bit, and that's part of why I play two marches. Although
Okay.
those were part of my I believed in those before the Oath resurgence or the discussion of the Oath resurgence,
Right.
because it just answers so many things. and pitching a Chancellor to it or what, killing an Urza Saga, a Psychic Frog, an Oath of Druids, you
Yeah.
know, a Vexing Bauble. That's a lot for one card to ask, and March does
Right.
all of that.
Right. It's a very flexible answer.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, you kind of got lucky because you kind of didn't play against any Oath of Druids players. So.
I did play against Oath one time, and it was one of the
Oh,
most fun
oh,
matches.
okay. That was round two. I can see.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I see that you played against an Oath, 61 card Oath deck. All right then.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So yeah, and it looks like you won that match 2-0. So yeah,
Yeah. A lot of 2-0s. A lot of 2-0s
I see that.
actually.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
that's
it
awesome.
was a good time. Yeah.
So we get to the end of the Swiss rounds. You've drawn in on your last round into the top eight. Um, Feeling pretty good at that point, right?
I'm feeling incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys got to, and so they did. So for our viewers at home, so the way that this event typically works is that all the Swiss rounds are on Friday, and in past years they've done top eight on Sunday. But I understand that the change to the legacy event kind of necessitated them doing the top eight on Saturday for vintage instead of doing it on Sunday. That was my understanding of the whole thing is that they moving the legacy event to be in like a day one, day two GP style like event kind of necessitated
Yeah.
that move. So you didn't get like that whole day to like think about what your top eight was going to be like, but you had that night, and so we get there. Walk me through a little bit about the your quarters, semis into the finals, just to kind of get an idea because you played against 100% Luris the entire time.
Yeah. Um, if you ask me what matchups I want to play against, I wouldn't name, Lurrus Frog decks.
Right,
Although, it's still vintage, and I still kind of understand the matchup, and I have a kind of a personal idea of how to approach it, which is this is just a tip for other white initiative players. If if it's not a combo deck, which Lurrus Control is not,
right,
you still should be disciplined with your mulligans, and you should still look for some explosive hands if they're given to you. But if you find kind of a decent six, it's got some stable mana, maybe it has a Swords to Plowshares after board, it is okay to play slow. You have more threats than they do, you have more threats than they have answers. And so if you're able to, even just things like Peacekeeper or whatever, to see the
right.
hand and start navigating through some stuff. But yeah, I played against three frog decks back to back to back.
Yeah, and one of those was reigning vintage champion Max Gilmore. So that's gotta be
Yeah.
feel pretty good. His list was pretty interesting with the Kishla skimmers and the cool
Yeah.
Deathrite Shaman business he had going on. But then we get to that finals match, and that finals match against Dave Kaplan. I know that there was you won this match 2-0, and I know that there was some judge calls that occurred during that match. There was some
Yeah.
interesting back and forth that we could hear on
Yeah.
the Twitch stream and stuff. I was watching live along with you guys, so tell me about what happened kind of in that match as to what was going on there.
So right before we get to that, quickly with the semifinals, the tip that I gave about potentially sometimes considering going slower, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't recommend that against Max's deck. His is very value built, and I think will grind you out. So you probably do want to look for your, just beat 'em up starts, which I did have, and so it worked out.
Right, that makes
So with the
sense.
finals, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, that makes sense because like you said, he's got those cards like the Kishla skimmers and stuff that are
Exactly.
not only drawing him extra cards and getting him value, but also like they have flying, and that's also kind of a thing too
Hmm.
when you're trying to protect your ability to hold the initiative and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
makes
for sure.
sense. So yeah, let's talk about that finals.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a blur. I've only rewatched the VOD one time,
Hmm.
um, and I'm gonna watch it again tonight. Just feeling good about enjoying the weekend some more.
Right.
But specifically, is your question more about the games or the judge calls or what?
Yeah, just kind of walk me through because I know that like there was some things that occurred, and I think that a lot of it was related around just like some confusion around certain cards. I know that Clarion Conqueror kind of came up in the first game,
Yeah,
and I know that there was a really kind of a protractedly long judge call over Witch Enchanter. I believe
yeah.
that was the whole issue.
I'll I'll go over them both. Right before the Clarion Conqueror, Dave had a new board, one land. I knew his hand, and I was casting a second Peacekeeper, and I named Fatal Push for the second time. A little bit of a weird play, um, maybe suboptimal, but what I was trying to do was I didn't want. He has a main deck momentum breaker. I didn't want one removal spell to unlock the if I was naming Fatal Push and something else on the other, I didn't want another removal spell to unlock the Fatal Push. So I was
Right,
kind of bearing that and then hoping that he wouldn't draw a land to cast the Frog, and then I'd untap and cast Dragon, and then Frog didn't matter.
right.
Um, Again, I don't think I love my play, but that's an explanation through my thought process.
It
At
makes
a macro
sense.
level, there's a little
Yeah,
more to it.
right. No,
So he has a land, he casts the Frog, and I untap and I play Clarion Conqueror, and it's on the stack, and then it resolved.
right,
And then after resolution, I go to combat and I push my peacekeepers ahead, and then there's a judge call. Um, and Dave called the judge, so maybe it's better for him to discuss what was going through his mind. I don't want to make assumptions, but
right.
it was just
Yeah,
like, hey, I think I want to activate my frog, probably something in that, because that would have been the time to do it.
right. Yeah, yeah. He would have had to have done it before the Conqueror was actually on the battlefield.
Yeah, and so once we're in that point, the judge didn't rewind us, and my combat was a lot easier.
Right,
Because ahead of that, I thought, okay, this frog's gonna be able to like grow and deal with my ground game. I'm gonna play this conqueror. It's going to just lightning bolt him in the air, right? Because he can't jump it after it's there. He can't attack into me because I can double block, and
right.
so
Yeah.
that's the rest of the thought.
You were
Um,
planning for it to be bigger. Is really what.
I knew that was a liability. I didn't want
Yes.
him to draw land,
Yeah.
but I knew it was
Right.
a liability, and I knew that on top of that, he would have to pitch some cards. Maybe he was interested in pitching some fatal pushes. I don't think so, but they're pretty far locked out. So then my double blocks, if he's trying to attack in, look okay, which he probably wouldn't want to do that because then my guys have vigilance. I can attack back. Like,
Right.
so I just kind of thought, worst case scenario, I'm lightning bolting him in the air with the conqueror, and that the
Right.
ground is locked up.
Yeah. That
That
makes
that's
sense.
the but yeah, the witch enchanter thing is probably, I think it's a good question for you to ask because it's probably one of the more confusing things as from a viewer perspective. Uh,
Yeah, I think a lot of people on the stream were very like, "What's going on? We don't really
yeah,
understand." And the
yeah,
commentators were like, "We don't really know what's going on either." So,
right. So that was my judge call. So it's very easy for me to explain this. When you've played Magic for a whole long day and you are excited and you don't sleep perfectly and you are
mhm,
under the lights and stuff, there are room for nerves. And I, in the moment, was playing Witch Enchanter as a May ability to enter the
mhm.
battlefield trigger. It is not.
No.
Modern Horizons 3 templates are usually a up to or you may, and just
Right.
so the easiest way of saying this is myself as the owner of the card should have figured this out first. My opponent and the judge, we all three kind of brain farted through this and had a judge call that should have been like, let's just read the card. It is mandatory that we do
Right,
this.
right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I wish it was a more fun explanation, but it was just as silly as that. Walking that back, I still would have cast that Witch Enchanter.
Right.
Um, it interestingly enough, it put him in another spot where like he if he draws a land, he can cast the cat and then start regrowing the momentum breaker, which isn't ideal. But if he misses, then I think he was, taking a turn off both ways. It still kind of gave him a mana equity, but now I have Witch Enchanter as a target for the Edict,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's insulation for my better creatures. So
Right.
yeah, that's the way it worked.
Interesting. That's kind of that. Yeah. I definitely can see where like you're at the end of the day, and it definitely, especially since you're, it I don't think a lot of people really understand how utterly stressful camera matches are. Like, uh,
They can be, especially the finals, right? You're really
right.
there to perform, and I'll say this: Witch Enchanter, when you play it, there's either not a target or there is a good target.
Right.
I've
That you
not
want to
been in
get
a
rid of.
situation, yeah, I've not been in the situation where I'm like, well, I don't want to get rid of this, and that's
Right.
the only target. So, and I've played, white on Moto plenty, and it's just so that's a new scenario unlocked for me.
Right. Well, so I think at the end of the day, I think you had a great event, and
I
I
did.
mean, did you have fun this weekend? I think that's the important part. Did you hang out with your
Yeah,
friends, and did you have a good time? I think
I
that's
I I love this question. Yeah, I had a wonderful time. I had a blast. Winning an event is incredible. But there are definitely ways to have fun playing Magic other than that.
right.
And we all have to learn how to do that because one winner out of 420 players is a tough feat. So, Card Titan did a fantastic job. I was thoroughly impressed and happy with the organization and how everything was ran. The staff was fantastic. Vintage is always a treat. The community is very good. They're all very mature. There's not really underdeveloped newer players playing the format, so you play against some very nice skill level,
Mm,
which is awesome. I had a good chunk of friends there that were very excited for me and very genuine in that excitement, which meant a lot to me. And the coolest thing of all is that my wife happened to travel with me for this event,
awesome.
and
That's great.
she hasn't done that before, and so now I guess I have to bring her to every Magic tournament.
She's your good luck charm now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's true. Yeah, I like I said, I before we started recording, I really wish I could have made it for this event. It was definitely not in the cards for me. I do have a lot of friends in that area community as well, so it would have been nice to be able to see some of those folks that I don't get to see all that often. But maybe next year, we'll see.
we'll see.
It'd be nice to try and make it at least to one in a while. So, but anyways, so thank you, Jeremy, for joining us. We're not gonna take too much of your time here, but I want to thank you again for coming on and talking a little bit about your deck, about your win, and congratulations again. I think it's awesome to see such a clean looking win. Like, I mean, you won all your top 8 matches 2-0, and that's incredible. So again,
Yeah,
thank you very much, and yeah.
you're very welcome. Let me do one correction. You didn't get your homework wrong. It's a reporting error on Melee.
Oh,
I went 2-0 in the quarters and 2-0 in the finals, but when I played Max, he killed me in game two. And
okay,
I hope they fix that soon. Yeah, certainly
yeah,
you didn't do your homework wrong at all. It's just how it's listed. But um,
interesting.
I just want to give credit where credit is due. He
That's
clocked me
fair.
very
Yeah,
good.
I'm
Yeah,
sure Max is a swell guy. So
yeah, he was a fantastic opponent.
yeah,
I thought highly and enjoyed our banter.
awesome. So again,
Again, you're very welcome.
oh, sorry,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
I'm very grateful that we had the conversation. So, yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you. And for everybody else out there, Jeremy, where if do you do any like social media or anything? Like, can anybody follow you anywhere or anything like that? That I can stick in like the description of the video or anything like that.
Um, I
Okay,
don't have anything.
that's
I'm just
fine.
kind of private. I have a Discord that I enjoy, and that's about it.
That's understandable. Not everybody has to have that. So, anyways, so thank you all again, and we will. We're probably going to do some more of these kind of things in the future for the folks out there who are reading the articles and checking out all the content on MTG Goldfish. And we'll see you guys all next time. I do believe that there is going to be an interview coming soon, maybe within this next week, with the Legacy Champion. So that'll be pretty awesome to see as
Very
well.
cool.
So, again, thanks, Jeremy, and we'll see you all next time.
Later.